Have you ever really thought about a practical path to immortality? Well, today, we're diving deep into a fascinating philosophical blueprint that suggests exactly that. And we're not talking about the body, but about the very essence of who you are.
So let's just start with this big question. What if you, the person you are right now, could last forever? And look, this isn't science fiction. We're not talking about freezing your body. This is a much deeper idea, and it's all rooted in the nature of consciousness itself.
Okay, so to really get how we might break the rules, we've got to understand what the rules are in the first place. Our source material kicks things off by explaining the soul's normal cycle. What typically happens to us after we die. So right off the bat, the source material draws this really critical line in the sand between two parts of ourselves. On one hand, you have the soul, the psychic being. This part is eternal, it's always evolving, and it carries the essence of your experiences. But on the other hand, you've got your personality. Think of this as everything temporary, your specific memories, your skills, your character, all formed in this one life. It's kind of like the vehicle you're driving for this single lifetime. Now, here's the crucial part of the normal cycle. After death, that personality, everything that makes you right now, it just dissolves, gone. Only the essence of what you learned gets absorbed by the soul to be carried forward. Your unique character, your memories, they're basically shed, just like an old set of clothes. But what if that wasn't the end of the story? What if it didn't have to be this way? This is where our source proposes something truly radical. The idea that we can actually change this fundamental rule. And that brings us to the first major goal in this blueprint, achieving an immortal personality. The whole aim here is to basically level up our consciousness so that the you that exists right now doesn't have to just disappear. So how do you do it? Well, it takes 3 pretty profound steps. First, you have to individualize. This means building a really coherent, powerful personality, not just a messy collection of reactions. Then, you integrate that surface self with your deeper consciousness so there's no gap between them. And finally, you have to open up. Become flexible, plastic, so you can actually be influenced by the infinite instead of being a closed-off little system. And if you pull this off, if you can meet these conditions, you achieve what the source calls practical immortality. Now, this isn't about your body living forever, not at all. It's about your developed mind, your unique character, and all your hard-won skills being able to survive the trip from one life to the next. And this is a huge deal. The source doesn't see this as just some personal trick. It's framed as a massive evolutionary leap. It is, and I quote, an immense victory of soul and mind and life over the limitations of material nature. Okay, so let's say you've done it. You've achieved an immortal personality. Awesome, but there's still one massive, really formidable obstacle standing in your way. Yep, the physical body. Even if your consciousness is now continuous, it's still stuck inside a biological form that gets old, breaks down, and eventually dies. So, why is that? To really get at this, we have to make a key distinction. A disruption is something like jet lag. It's a temporary imbalance. You can fix it. But decay, that's a whole different animal. It's a systemic, fundamental process that seems baked into the very fabric of matter. It feels inevitable. And what this means is that even with an immortal personality, you're still trapped. You're forced to throw away your physical body and start all over in a new one every single time. The body ultimately remains the final prison. So, this brings us to the final piece of the puzzle, the ultimate unlock. And I've got to say, this is the most radical, most mind-bending idea in this entire concept. What if decay isn't some unbreakable law of biology? What if it's something more like a habit? A really deep, really ancient habit that's programmed into every single one of ourselves. I mean, think about it. Here's the core idea. For billions of years, as life struggled to even exist, it failed over and over and over again. All that repeated failure, that constant collapse, it created a kind of cellular memory, an ingrained expectation of decay and death, and our cells have just been mindlessly following that old script ever since. So if decay is just a habit, well, habits can be changed, right? The ultimate victory, then, isn't fighting the body. It's for a higher consciousness to actually go all the way down to the cellular level
and replace that ancient habit of decay with a totally new allegiance, a new habit, a habit of endless life and spirit.
And this leaves us with a truly profound final thought. If our physical reality is built on a habit of consciousness, could a powerful enough consciousness literally create a new reality? What you should really take away from all this is a new way to think about the limits we all just assume are absolute. Maybe they aren't laws at all. Maybe they're just old patterns, waiting for a new author to come along and rewrite the story.